Hello everyone and welcome. My name is James Tennant and today we're going to talk about Autodesk PLM 360 and more specifically how to perform a change order on an item. So today we're not going to talk about any of the background information about how a change order works or anything like that. We're basically going to have a user's view on how a basic change order goes ahead and how to actually perform the change order itself. So let's jump into my items and bombs workspace. Now I've actually made a clone of the items and bombs workspace from the engineering section, and that's just because I can play around with this one, delete the workspace later on when I'm done with it. So I've made a test items and bombs workspace, which I'm going to jump into now. And in this workspace I've just got a couple little play around items. And in this case, for example, I've got a pen here. Now we might want to add an item here called pen lid or something like that. So if we go and add a new item in here, we'll make it a part. We'll call it pen lid. We can put a description in there if you like, and comments and units and whatnot as well. Just to be clear, all these fields are editable. We can change whatever fields we want in PLM 360. It's actually one of the really versatile parts of 360. Is just how customizable this form can be. So don't think of these as locked in stone. This is, as I said, just a clone from the default one. And I'm going to save that part off. As soon as I save that one, it's going to be assigned a new number based on a script that I've got running in the background. It's also going to get parts and all that sort of stuff. You'll also notice that up the very top we've got it sitting in the unreleased state, and this is the state that all items will be until you put a change order on them and complete that change order. So just be aware that this is not visible to anyone that doesn't have permission to working items. So let's go down to the test section and test change orders. Again, I've made a clone of the change orders from the engineering section so that I can play around with it and do whatever I want. Now I understand that everyone's workflow will be different. I've just made it the simplest of workflows in my change order. I have no real approvers, no real reviewers or anyone like that. You would obviously have something a lot more structured than what I've got, but mine's good for the purpose of a training tutorial. So I'm going to jump into my new change order and give it a title. So we might say release the item, and it's a manufacturing change order. It's urgency. Again, don't take too much notice of these. If you have different fields in there, that would be completely expected. And actually, one thing you'll notice in here, if you're not familiar with PLM, this little red asterisk here is telling me that this field is required. So otherwise I would just click save and just be done with it, but I need to fill in something here, so I'm just going to go and say test, and we'll just copy that and say test as well. As I mentioned, mine is the simplest of approval processes. This approvals and whatnot is just left over from the clone when I did the original clone from the original workspace. I don't need to pick anything here. It's going to make no difference to the workflow at all. So click save. And we've now got a new change order, which is great, but it's not going to affect any items yet. So we do need to go and pick from the affected items tab. This might be called something different in your company. We can actually change the name of all these tabs fairly easily, which is also very nice. But so just be aware that you'll have one in here that's like affected items, might be called something else though, but your layout once you click on that tab will look similar to mine. Now all we do is we go and tell it which item we're going to affect in this change order, or items, because we can select multiple items at the same time. In my case I've got several items in the list here, and we've got one sitting in an unreleased state, which is my pen lid, and that's the one that I want to affect in my change order. So I click the tick box, I select next, and I click save and exit. This sometimes takes a second or two to save that item into the change order, but once it comes up you'll see the item listed in there and you'll see any action or anything that's going to happen. Now this is the part that tricked me initially, and this is probably the main reason why I decided to do a video on it, is because once I did that, I didn't really, well, nothing prompted me to tell me that I needed to change the lifecycle state as well. And there's no way I can really click on that right now. So one thing that I do need to do before I go and proceed with my workflow is edit this pen lid straight away. And what that'll do is it'll tell you what lifecycle state to transition into. In my case, I've got a couple of lifecycle states that I could transition into, and this is based on my lifecycle that I've configured in the management tools. We will talk about that in a later video, but for now, just trust me when I tell you that all this is configurable. We don't need to worry about what this is called. Again, this is good for the purpose of a demonstration, but not something you need to worry too much about because yours might be a bit different. So I'm going to bypass design and release straight away. Once I hit save, then you'll notice things are happening in this screen. Like we've got this set in there, but we've also got a release letter here to say released to revision A. So that's basically saying that currently it's unreleased and its destination is going to be revision A. If I was to go and select on this item here, it would take me to the working version of this one because it's not released yet. To go ahead and release it, we head over to the workflow actions and we'll see our lifecycle or our workflow in here. And again, I must reiterate, this is the simplest of workflows possible. We could have all sorts of approvals here, management approvals, list of approvers, all that sort of stuff. But in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and approve it myself. Now currently the state of the item is still in that working state, and it will remain in that working state until it gets to the complete section. And it's not because it's called complete, it's actually because we've got these two little gears here. Ignore the padlock for the moment, focus on the gears here. These gears are actually the state, or assigned to this state, to say that once the change order gets to this state here, then go and do some work on the item. And in this case, the work we want it to go and do is release the item. So that one there is pretty crucial. Make sure you've got these gears in your life or in your workflow somewhere, otherwise you're not going to achieve much in your workflow actions. Finish that one off and you'll now see the workflow is sitting in the complete section or in the complete state. We can now go ahead and head over to the affected items, preview the affected item, and what we'll now notice is the item that I've just created is now sitting in production A. So that basically means that we've just released that item. It was sitting in unreleased before, it's now sitting in production A. And if we wanted to do any more work to the item itself, we could just go and do some work on the working version of it, and production A would remain as is until we go and put another change order on it, releasing it into revision B. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, click the subscribe button because I plan on making a few of them. Otherwise, hit the like. Be much appreciated. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.